Hey everyone, and welcome to Read This Now, the weekly webcast where Brad Gustafson and I share two books that we love and we think you should read when, Brad.
As the name implies, you got to read them now, people. That is how
Yeah,
good they are.
that's right. Well, let's jump right into it then. What have you been reading, my friend?
All right, I have my book glow on. I don't know what that really means, but I'm so excited to share this book. And just because of our pre-show conversation, I'm riding the high of this book still from this weekend. I just finished it, and I had a couple others I was meaning to share just because they're can't miss titles, but this one had to go right to the list. So that
Got it.
really backs up the whole idea of the show, right? Read this now. So
That's right.
this one is from, actually, I'll get to that in a second. I think I want to do in the biz what they call a little bit of a teaser. So
Ooh,
this is a book that
fancy,
I
fancy.
wouldn't necessarily predict that I would have picked out or been excited about. I'm not sure why. It's not sci-fi, maybe that's why. But it has like this magical, enchanted feel, a timeless feel. It reminds me of the Orphan book that you recommended.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
the Ogress and the Orphans.
yes.
Yes,
That it
yes.
reminds me of that. The book is, teaser's over, The Puppets of Spelhorst by
Oh,
Kate DiCamillo and Jenn. I opened this book up with curiosity. I just really didn't know what to expect. I mean, I had a feeling it'd be good, but
mhm.
I was enthralled. I was in love. I continue to be in love. This is one of those rare books. I don't do this often, but I will estimate that I'll probably end up reading this many times and recommending it
Mhm.
probably more than most books I do. But it is the story of five puppets that it kind of just based on the cover. There is a wolf, and she is very fond of her sharp teeth. Like that's her thing. Each character has their own idiosyncrasies. The king is very into his kingdom, like or whatever his
Sure.
crown, I guess would be the best way to say it. There's a young woman, there's a boy, there's an owl who has real feathers, and they all have dreams and aspirations and things that have been kind of built into their DNA that they remember from the puppet builder, like whether it was
Mhm.
a song that they were sung by the puppet builder, or like I said, the real feathers. So the cool thing is, and one of the reasons I fell in love with this book is the repetition of the characters. It almost felt like you were at a dinner table with them, or like you knew them. Like how does that happen so quickly in a book that isn't super text heavy? Like if I just show you kind of like what
Yeah.
the pages look like, very easy to read. And I'm always mystified by people who can make every word count like Kate has
Yes.
did in such an easy to read way. So one of my, I mean, the whole book is so good, but one of the things, I hope this is so weird. I wasn't planning to get emotional, but I'm feeling emotion, Jenn. One of the things that I loved about this book was, and this is just within the first 30, 40 pages, so barely into it, was the wolf consistently talks about her sharp teeth, and the other characters are always like, give it a rest. No one cares about your sharp teeth, etc. It's just
Yeah.
anything that comes up, the wolf is thinking about her sharp teeth. And then there's a part where something changes, and I'm not going to get into that. And so I'm going to read just like two sentences. So the wolf, they, the girl fell silent, and then the wolf says, "My teeth are well and truly sharp." The wolf whispered, "My teeth are well and truly sharp." And the boy replied to the wolf, "I know they are," in a very gentle voice. And for me, that the inferencing there, like if you read the story, you can kind of deduce why the shift in how the characters are treating the wolf. It was just so
Yeah.
powerful. So even in words that are unspoken, things that are unspoken, and how characters are changing, and that the pattern being disrupted in such a gentle, poignant way, it
Yes.
just captured my heart. And I don't want to stop talking about this book. I think it's a series. I'm not an expert on this, but I'm kind of geeking out, like trying to study it and figure out when I can get more. But it says a Normandy tale, and I feel like I read somewhere it's going to be 3 books. I don't know where
Oh,
I
I
saw
hadn't
that.
heard that, but that's exciting.
Okay, I hope I'm not making. I hope I didn't just sign Kate up for anything she wasn't planning on doing. But I thought I saw that. So for all of those reasons and so many more that I didn't even get into, I recommend to everyone, like not just for students, but literally for yourself, read this right now. The Puppets of Spelhorst, a Normandy tale. So, so good. Also, major hat tip to Julie Morstad. The illustrations in this book enhanced the story and the feel
Yes.
infinitely. They go together probably just as well as in any book I've ever seen written. Like, it's at upper echelon, the and the simplicity, but yet the power and emotion and just how perfect they are. It's really hard to explain. I think Enchanted is my best explanation for it.
I don't know, especially for younger kids, if there is an author living today who is more of an expert at writing character-driven fiction than Kate DiCamillo. Her books contain always unforgettable characters that burrow themselves into our hearts. And because I think of our immediate connection with those characters, it only takes subtle shifts in the action or in the description, or even a well-placed comma or a word like whispered or gently, to have us pick up on a seismic level the way a character's heart has changed or the way the story has shifted, because we're so connected with those characters. It only takes a subtle detail to make a seismic change. That to me is a gift I don't know of many other authors writing for young people have. Kate DiCamillo is the gold standard when it comes to character-driven fiction for kids, especially of young ages. But really, we're talking about early readers all the way through middle grade, whether you're talking about a character who's a mouse, like in Edward Tulane, or you're talking about, a book that is heavily revolves around a dog, like Winn-Dixie, or these puppets, or humans. We just get so connected to these characters that Kate just is able to shift their trajectory and our hearts, in really subtle but masterful ways. And I'm so glad you shared this book today, because it's a prime example of that.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll add, and I purposely kind of avoided it because this is one of those books where readers deserve to read every page and soak it in. It truly, they're
Yeah.
gifts, and that's how it felt every page that I was reading this weekend. But one thing I want to say that I didn't, it's not just the puppets. Kate masterfully has created a world with humans
Sure.
and puppets that are existing, like that you buy at a store. And just like in the world that we live in, the two don't talk to each other. Like I don't, does that make sense? Like, you
Yeah.
have a puppet sitting on the mantle and it's just an object to us. So it's this cool world where the puppets have a conscious, but the people aren't aware of it. And how that unfolds and kind of wraps up the whole story is just
But isn't that
truly
like
timeless. Yeah.
But isn't that exactly like the way kids would think of it? As adults, we see the puppet as an object on the mantle,
Mm.
but kids imagine this whole life for those objects. That imagination is still incredibly active, and also, and in some ways, untamed for kids that are the target audience of those books. So the way that she does that sort of mirrors how her readers would think. So
And well said. Well said. Yes.
I love it. I love it. We could have a whole show just on Kate DiCamillo,
Yeah.
which our friend John Shu would really appreciate, since he's the president of the Kate DiCamillo fan club. So
This I have heard. This I have heard.
well, it's funny because on the surface, it may feel like the two books we're going to share this week don't really have that much in common, but I actually think the picture book I wanted to share this week is also really character driven, and probably the reason why I fell in love with the book. There's lots to love about this book, but I think our main character might be the thing that I fell in love with most. Also, I kept thinking about you when I was reading the book, because the book revolves around snow, and I know that you live in Minnesota. And as someone who grew up and currently lives in an area that doesn't get a lot of snow, we get snow a few times a year, but in comparison to Minnesota, while it feels like a blizzard to us, it's nothing. It's like a spring day for you all, right? But there's something really magical about snow, and I really could relate to our main character, Liam, in Just One Flake by Travis Jonker. But it also made me think of little Brad growing up in Minnesota, and all the other little Brads growing up in Minnesota, and how they might use a snowy day to activate that imagination, and to give themselves a task, one impossible task. And in this case, our friend Liam, his impossible task is he wants to capture one flake of snow on his tongue. That's what he wants, a single flake. He just wants to capture it. There's snow all around, but no matter what he does, can't seem to capture one flake on his tongue. And he goes through tons of different strategies to try to make this happen, and each one it ends in yet one disaster after another, some of which are totally relatable, and also I think hilarious. I think kids will get a lot of laughter seeing all the misadventures that Liam goes through. But before I get to those, I should probably do a couple of things to share this beautiful book. This is not Travis Jonker's first picture book, but it is the first one where he also did the illustrations. So he's written a couple of others, but he's the illustrator. This is Illustrator debut. If you know Travis, or you have followed him online, maybe through his blog, 100 Scope Notes, or his other social media presences, you know that he doodles and draws and shares his illustrations online. His illustrations, in my view, are very, very childlike. They're the kinds of illustrations that you could see kids trying to emulate, etc. And while on the surface they may appear a little simple, they're so emotive. I mean, look at Liam's face there, that big red tongue, just hoping to capture that one flake. And on the back we have Liam there. I love the way Travis is drawn around the barcode. Lots of cool little Easter eggs there for Travis fans. I want to take the dust jacket off to reveal the hard case, the case cover. And what do you see on there, Brad?
They look like paper snowflakes. They're really cool.
Yes, they do. And I'm gonna circle back to those in a minute, but I wanted to point those out. And I think especially when you're talking about reading a picture book to maybe kids in 4th or 5th grade, maybe even 3rd, those snowflakes I think are going to become important. But here's our end papers where Liam's looking out the window with what might be his mom. We have the door to his house there. I bet those boots and the snow gear look familiar to you living in Minnesota. But we go through the whole story, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I do want to show, like, here's one of Liam's misadventures where he attempts to do something to capture the snowflake. And in the previous pages, he's going, oh, it's working, it's working, it's working, I'm going to get it. And then boom, it's not working anymore, right? But in the end, I won't tell you how. Liam ends up getting his snowflake, but in a completely unexpected way, not in the way that he wants. And from that, something magical happens. In being able to see his snowflake, he understands for the first time really what a snowflake looks like, which then enables him to have as many as he wants, because he's able to then make snowflakes. Which brings me back to our case cover, which I thought, oh, that's a neat connection. But I was even more blown away by that connection when I read the note from the author in the back. It says, case art, which is this right here, all of these snowflakes, by, and these are some names you might know, Brad, Tom Engelberger, I bet
Mm.
some kids know Tom Engelberger. Stephen Barbara, CC Bell, Betsy Bird, Lauren Castillo, Carter Hickens, Allison Jonker, Colin Jonker, Lina Jonker, Supriya Keller, Lori Keller, Min Lay, Donalyn Miller, James Preller, John Shue, Colby Sharp, Bob Shea, Philip Stead, and Aaron Stead. These are all children's literature people, authors, illustrators, folks like Colby, who's an educator, etc. Plus, it sounds to me like also some of Travis's own family who made all of these beautiful paper snowflakes to become the case cover art, which I just love, because all I can think of as someone who, you can take the girl out of the classroom, but you can't take the classroom out of the girl. All I can think about is the way that we could do shared art with kids around snowflakes in a way that's super meaningful, and in a way that makes them an artist in the same way that all the people listed in the back of this book are. So this is Just One Flake by Travis Jonker. I love it, and I think you should read it right now. And just to little Liam, I too am wishing for snow right now. So I hope some comes.
Jenn, love is in the air, snow is in the air. That was one of those contagious book talks you're known for, because I'm just so, my brain is melting in good things. Really quick, you named some really cool people who I admire and respect, and when you said Ming Lei, my heart just went extra love. So
Boom,
I just am
right?
throwing that shout out into the universe. And then also the Travis's cover design is so powerful, because I am usually as a kid, I just pick up the snow and enjoy it off the ground. But
Yeah.
I do remember you try to eat it and it will get in if you're sticking your tongue out looking up. One eye will get hit and you kind of got to shut it, but that doesn't stop you. You still stick your tongue out and go for it. So
I
what a
love it.
powerful picture that
Yes, and kids who
depicts
live
that.
in an area with lots of snow will certainly recognize themselves in that.
Right.
I kept thinking about, like, if I were still a teacher librarian, I'd have books by Min Lay and Bob Shea and Tom Engelberger and all this, Lauren Castillo and John Shue out. And as I read that afternote, I would have kids make the connection between, oh, someone who wrote a book that you love made one of these. And now we're going to do the same thing. I mean, how cool would that be? It'd be amazing.
It's really cool. The other thing I have to point out is I know that you watch Lego Master, because we
Oh,
talk
I
Lego
do.
sometimes. And when they have the golden brick up, and I'm
Oh,
assuming
yes.
it's a production light that makes it shine. As
Yeah.
you were sharing some of your book, it was glowing perfectly from the window. It is the best shot I have ever seen in the world. You should make a poster. It looks like you're holding treasure, Jenn. So
I am holding treasure, darn it. I
I only
sure
hope that I
am.
on camera was looking. I think it was when the book was flat in front of
Yeah.
you. You couldn't see it, so it literally had
Yes.
this glow. But I hope I didn't look too silly next to you, because it's like a sports poster when you posterize someone. You look amazing. You're slam dunking with your book. I just hope I don't look too silly, because that was
You
epic.
look amazing. I have the benefit of this light, this window right next to me right now that's doing me some
It
favors.
is
So,
truly awesome.
oh, this was a fun show. I enjoyed both the books that we talked about this week. And if our 3.5 viewers would like to hear about more books that we recommend, where can they go, Brad?
Oh my gosh, I need a reminder. Is it readthisnow.net?
It is.
Yes,
Yay!
yes.
Woo! I love it. I love it. We have an archive there, as well as links to our most recent shows. So we hope that it proves useful to you. And we hope that whatever your your fall and winter brings, that it includes lots of reading. We'll see you next week, y'all. Thanks.